back to Allison Custom Project Car TV. Today I'm working on another shop project, and I'll get back on some cars here soon, but just trying to get some stuff done. We got all that concrete put in almost 2 weeks ago now, and in that process I emptied the other building, which you saw me tear down later. All that stuff is just piled up in here, so working on cars is just troublesome because there's so much stuff everywhere. So I'm working on an area now to put my toolboxes in. If you remember, maybe if you haven't seen it, I'll try and put a card one side or the other, where it'll take you back to a link where I bought some Harbor Freight 42-inch toolboxes. And my goal, plan, whatever, was always in this area to mount them into a workbench type area. So that's what I'm working on now. I've got some 1.5 inch, I don't know, I think it's maybe 18, or it's probably a little heavier than that. It's probably 14 gauge square tubing. You can see I've kind of laid it all out. Nothing's welded up yet, just kind of laying it out. And my plan here is to have a box in each one of these sections. And then there'll be an open area here where I can slide my stool and other seating or whatever underneath. And then we'll put some steel across the top, and then just steel ribs across the top, just so then we can put some kind of countertop on it. I would love to do a butcher block type countertop because I think it would look really sharp in here, but it's pretty expensive. It's about $800 to do this wall in that butcher block. So I'm probably going to end up doing it in MDF, probably 3/4 inch MDF, and then I'll just face it with some oak or something else to make it look nice but be more practical in expense, because I could do all this with maybe $150 worth of lumber complete. Over here I needed to run a little bit more electrical, so I just finished pulling that wire, and now I can go ahead and cover up that wall, and then we can start laying this out with squares and everything and get it welded up. Last, I've already sheetrocked the ceiling, all except one little spot over here off camera that I ran out of sheetrock, so I picked that up while I was getting the wire I needed. So today is a day of trying to get this room, I don't know if I'll get 100% complete, but if I can get 80-90% complete, I'll be really happy with that, and then I can finish up the touch-ups tomorrow or the next day. That's what I'm after. I'm going to work hard, and you guys get to come along for the view. Alright guys, well, as you can see, I have finished sheeting in the wall, and because it's a whole lot easier to get right up close to this outlet and do all the wiring, I went ahead and put all the outlets and faceplates on this wall. This other side is going to have rolling toolboxes, so I'll always be able to get up against there. Then I vacuumed out my area here with the steel, so it's time to actually start cleaning up and welding some of this steel up so that we can be ready to put the toolboxes on it. And my plan is just, I'll clean it all, grind it, weld it in place, you know, make sure it's all square. And then I'll set the boxes in. We'll do the top rails, which are going to lock the boxes in. So to take this thing apart at a later date, it's going to require pulling the top off and then cutting a few welds. And I'm not going to weld everything, you know, 360 around it and solid. It really just needs the faces welded that you're going to see, and then everywhere else can just have a couple of really good tacks on it to hold everything in place, so that, you know, when I put the top on it, I can hit on it with a hammer and not worry about breaking some tack loose or something. But really, it's all weight going down, so we're not needing to weld this thing 360 degrees around the piece of tubing. So anyway, I'm going to get some squares, get my welder jug over here, a grinder with a flap wheel so we can clean up the edges, and then we'll get this stuff started welding. Tool room, I guess is what I'm going to call this. And like every time else I get a flat surface, I cover it in everything. And even though that's not really flat. But the tops have finally come in, plus I got some stuff for the walls. So that's what I'm going to do today, is I'm going to get all this cleared off, get the tops in, start putting my new panels on the walls, and that will be the end of this video. So I bought some 1.5 thick, 2 foot, I think it's 25 inches deep, solid wood tops, so they'll kind of look like some of my other tops. They're unfinished, so part of the process, once they're installed, I will have to go back and seal the tops, you know, and I'm not sure what I'm going to use, like a tung oil or a polyurethane. I haven't decided yet. I haven't even seen them yet. I just bought them online and from Home Depot, but they are unfinished. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in, and where the big drawers are, probably have to take a couple drawers out, but I'm going to drill a few holes through the 1 inch square or rectangular tube and down in through the top of the toolbox, so that I can put a screw in from underneath to hold the tops down. And I bought them in 2 pieces, so somewhere about the center we'll scribe in the back and the 2 walls, and then in the center we'll make sure we have like a really good, perfectly straight edge to join the 2 pieces of material together, and, you know, to cut down on dirt collection or whatever. And that's it. So I'm going to get started. So a little extra detail. The tops I found I got at Home Depot, and they ended up only being about $150 a piece, and that was including the shipping. So much less than I originally had looked at when I'd looked at maple and some other finished butcher block tops. These are butcher block. They are some wood I hadn't actually heard of, and they are a light colored wood, so that got me to just go ahead and do it online and purchase them. So I just wanted Okay, this thing's heavy. It was pretty well packaged. The cardboard was all tore up, but once you opened it, it had extra, like a whole other extra layer of cardboard, plus it's seal wrapped here. So anyway, I'm going to get the cardboard off. We'll get the first one laid down. And I think, because I can move those easily, I think I'm going to do this end first and then do that end, because I can kind of swing stuff around, whereas I got switches and stuff on the wall over here. So I think doing that end second will make things a little easier. Corners are kind of beat up. I think I'm going to spin this around so that this is the end that I cut off to finish up the wall. About that much too long, which we're going to take off of that end. Just need a tape measure, pencil. We're going to scribe it out. Okay, so I need each slab to be about 88 inches long. We'll fine tune that as we go. So what I'm going to do is I've got maybe 1/8 of an inch that's going to need to be scribed in. That wall has a little tiny bow in the middle. And then there's a bow right about here and another one right about here. So on the back, and I want everything tight just so I don't lose stuff behind it. So I'm going to mark about 88 and 1/8 of an inch. And we'll scribe that end in, cut it off, and push this up against there, scribe the end in, and all I'm using is just a flat pencil. I'm going to put that against the wall, and wherever that line ends up, what you do is you make the widest gap, the distance here, so you can use a compass, a regular pencil, it doesn't matter. I like these flat pencils because you got a good long straight edge to scribe along the wall. So I'll try and show you that, but let me get, first we got to mark this and cut it off to length. So I've got this top pulled out from the wall, and what you want to do is wherever your widest gap is, and if you look down through there you can see it would have been at the back. I'm going to pull that out to whatever you're using to scribe, you want to get it to where the edge is lined up with the pencil tip, and then as you bring your pencil forward, you've got a new line that shows you where you're going to cut. And if you cut that line, as long as your back was, you don't have the top on the whole system crooked, as long as then that line will represent this wall. And you cut it again, shove it up tight against there, and then we've got a few little gaps back here. And I will probably go ahead and do the same thing on the back of the top, just so it's as tight to the wall as I can get it. And then we'll be done. This side will be done. So there you go. That's it after we've cut. There's maybe a few places where you could slide a piece of paper down there, but might be even able to pull on the countertop a little bit or push on it to push it into that wall just a little tighter, and then even those would go away. That's how you do it. And then before we're done, we'll take a piece of sandpaper and just kind of sand off that edge just a little bit so that you don't get the little fuzzies, because my saw blade's getting a little dull. So next up, we're just going to do the same thing back here. We'll pull the countertop out enough that that pencil will be right on the edge of that gap, because that's probably the biggest one. And then we'll cut off all the high spots. So this is a lot of work for this little bitty saw. But it does it, and what I found is a little small saw versus like a big circular saw will let you kind of follow that line a little better. Best thing would be like a belt sander. You can take that and run along through there. I've just got a little more material than I wanted to mess with a belt sander for to take off. The other trick you can do that helps, and I've got it done just a little bit here, might add just another couple degrees, but rake your saw about 5 or 10 degrees in, so you're undercutting the bottom as you're cutting, and what that'll do is then you've got just this really sharp top edge that's up against the wall, and it'll let it kind of shape a little easier. So those are just a couple little tricks to getting these to fit really nice. So once I got another battery charged up a little bit, I finished my cut on that back side, flipped it back around, and before I put it away, I just used a piece of 220 sandpaper and went over the edges to take off the little bit of feathering that cutting it with a semi-dull blade did. Now I've got a couple clamps here pushing the top to the wall as tight as I can, and again I've got a place or two where I can slide a piece of paper, but everything's pretty darn tight now. And then I've got another clamp here pushing down towards that wall, which tightened it up just a little bit more. So we're pretty good as far as placement. So I'm going to take a drill and I'm going to go up through all of my holes that I drilled in the top and pre-drill into the countertop, and then I'll run some screws up in there, and that's why I've got all these drawers out, so I can get everything up in there. There you go. We're just going to run some number 8 screws in there. I have a deck screw type deal. And it uses a T20. Uses the T20 bit, so they're a star head. And we'll run these up through there. That'll suck that countertop down nice and tight, and then we'll do the second half. Well guys, that's it. So I ended up using two of these, 2 coats of this Ultimate polyurethane. It's a water-based product, just with a sponge brush. You saw me doing that. So I needed to leave about 2 hours between coats, and then 24 hours for this last one to dry thoroughly. Then I went in and got a little bit of tan caulk, and I'll caulk all the way around the outside edges just to catch that last little bit of gap that I wasn't able to get with the saw. But I think it looks really good. It actually matches my other tops on my other toolboxes better than I expected that it might. And then I used this wall covering. I installed these wall control panels, and these are made in the USA. There are some cheaper ones, and not substantially cheaper. I mean 10-15% at most cheaper. But they are cheaper versions, and you can get these in powder coat and all different kinds of colors. I picked just the galvanized metal just because I thought in here it would kind of help lighten up the look of it. It would kind of look industrial, like my toolboxes and all that other. And I picked the wall control brand for 2 reasons. One, it's made in the USA. 2, I can get it at Home Depot. And my local store doesn't actually carry it, but I could order it online. They shipped it to the house. And I bought 5 kits, which a kit is 2 panels, which gives you a 32 by 32 surface area. And then it also comes with hooks. And I just bought the starter kit, which is the 2 panels and the hooks. That was about $15 more than just buying 2 panels. And through Home Depot was free shipping. So I'm not promoting wall control or Home Depot here. Nobody's paying me to say this, but I like the product. You can use pegboard parts on it, or you can use their proprietary little hooks which clip into the slots. And it came with quite a few of them. You can see it came with hooks. I haven't bought anything extra, so it came with hooks that I could put the drills on and my sawzalls. And And I'll be moving stuff around. A lot of this belongs in my other toolboxes in the other building, and I haven't brought that toolbox down here yet, but we'll get to it. Overall, I think it looks really sharp and give me a nice workstation. Of course, like every other flat surface in this shop, I'm sure it'll be covered in no time with just stuff everywhere, so figured I better show it to you early. But hope you've enjoyed the video. Thought it was kind of, I hope you think it's kind of cool what the little room I've built here for all this. And I've got a little round table coming that'll sit out here kind of in the middle and use these taller chairs to sit at, so give us a place to drink a beer. So thanks for watching. I'll see you again next week with, I don't know, video on the Scout or maybe the forklift. I got a couple different projects going, and I want to try and get a bunch of them finished up, but this one was kind of critical for me to get to soon so that I'd have the workstation and could get this area cleaned out and start putting stuff away. So see you again soon.